The Pool Guy Podcast Show. The Pool Guy Podcast Show. The Pool Guy Podcast Show. Yeah!
Hi, and welcome to this week's edition of the Pool Guy Show. Today I'm going to be interviewing Charles Baird from National Pool Route Sales. We're going to go over the different aspects of purchasing a pool route, if this is the way you want to start your pool business. We're going to cover all the details that's involved with National Pool Route Sales. Now, there are many ways to start a business. One way is just to get a truck, get your equipment, and kind of go on the fly and start building accounts that way. And it's totally feasible to build your pool route this way. You can also work for a company as a subcontractor, as an employee, kind of learn the trade, and then branch out on your own to start a business. And another option, which we're going to talk about today, is actually purchasing a pool route. So in order to get the idea of what it means to purchase a pool route, just imagine the pool business or a pool route as being the same as a restaurant or a car wash or a coin laundry. And if you're going to buy a business, generally you would go to a business broker and they would arrange a sale between the seller and buyer. So National Pool Route Sales is a broker for pool routes. I met him a couple of years ago at the pool show in Long Beach. And this particular company, not only do they do the transaction between the buyer and seller, but they come alongside you to make sure that you're going to be successful in the business. It's not like traditional real estate brokerage where you buy the property and then once you close escrow, you're on your own basically if you buy a house or a business. With National Pool Route Sales, they actually have a consulting side of the business, which we'll discuss with Charles in the interview. And they also have some guarantees involved with the accounts. So you're fully protected when you're buying a pool route through National Pool Route Sales. And I recommend going through a broker like this versus, again, buying one for sale by owner type of deal. And this episode is brought to you by Riptide Pool Vacuum System. This is a great way to clean pools with a lot of large debris on the bottom. If you have a pool route, this is a great tool that will speed up your day and save your time and energy. You can learn more about the Riptide Pool Vacuum System at riptidevac.com. So I'm joined today by Charles Baird from National Pool Route Sales. How are you doing today, Charles?
I'm doing well, thank you.
So tell me a little bit about the National Pool Route Sales. Like if someone is looking to buy getting to the pool business, what are the advantages of purchasing a route versus, say get a truck, get equipment, and trying to build the route from scratch?
Well, it's always better to buy a route. I know that sounds self-promoting, but it really isn't. There was a survey done back in the 80s, and I forget which magazine it was, but they said it would take 5 years of building up a route to equal what you could go out and buy. And if you look at the cost over the 5 years of what it would cost you to build a route and the income you would lose, it would cost you about 5 times to build it as it would to buy it. The other problem with building a route is that you have to take whatever customer you can get. You're going to have to take good customers, bad customers, slow pay, no pay. They're going to be way more spread out as a rule when you start picking pools up one at a time here and there, as opposed to purchasing a route. So purchasing is bar none, it's better.
Okay, and so let's say you're a pool guy, you have like 30 or 40 pools, and you just want to purchase a partial route. They can buy a partial route from you also?
Yeah, they can, and again, it's better to buy. Now, if you already have a route, then our program through our consulting shows you how to improve and increase your business. So if you already have, 100 pools and you want 200, it's not always best to purchase. So that's not self-promoting. It's actually sometimes better to build the equity rather than to purchase it.
Okay.
But yes, to answer your question, you can purchase a smaller route to add to your existing pools. And sometimes that's good in order to get some of our free consulting.
Okay, and let's stick with that consulting part of it. You were saying that, so instead of purchasing a partial route, you're saying that your consulting end of the business could help them grow their existing route?
It does, yes, absolutely. When you purchase a route through us, our consulting site and our consulting not only helps you improve the business, and improve your profits. For most people, again, depending on where they are, we're able to improve their profits 100% the first year without ever adding a new customer or before adding any new customers. When you add new customers, we've had people improve their profits the first year between 300 and 400%.
Okay, so if you purchase a route through your company, the consulting comes as an added bonus?
That is correct.
Okay, and if you didn't purchase a route, let's say you're just a pool guy and you're listening to this right now and you have 60 accounts and you really want to grow, how would they get involved with your consulting end?
Well, honestly, they can go to the consulting site and buy the consulting package, but they're better off purchasing, taking some money, purchasing more pools, getting the consulting with that, because with that consulting, when you purchase a route, you also have individual backup consulting, not just website consulting.
Okay, I got it. That makes a lot more sense that way when you put it like that. So they would buy a part of a small route, and then you would get the consulting for free.
That's correct.
Okay. Now, I've heard a lot of horror stories about people that purchase routes. In fact, one guy that I've been talking to, he bought 35 pools in Florida from another pool guy. I don't know how he found them. I haven't talked to him that much in detail. But most of those pools, they were all out of balance. The customers were not paying well. So he had a really bad experience with purchasing this route. And I hear a lot of different stories from people that have purchased pool routes and they have bad experiences. But how would you distinguish your national pool route sales from kind of those kind of stories?
Well, I'll tell you, I really don't know many experiences where people have purchased from a for sale by owner that were very successful. I'm not saying some weren't successful. I just don't hear about those. Most of the ones I hear about where they purchase it from a for sale by owner are nightmares, where the guy didn't give me the pools, or he didn't own the pools and he sold them to me, or the pools were a complete mess. Well, to take the last point, one of the things that we have all of our clients do is take a photograph, a digital photograph of every pool the first week they're out there. And that way we know the shape of the pool the first week. Because 2, 3, 4 weeks down the road, in the middle of summer, a pool can flip. So you can't say a month later that the pool was green and not have any evidence of that first week. So we have them take pictures, so we have a record of it. And if the pools are green, we get back involved with the buyer and the seller, and we help them work it out. I think the problem with buying from a for sale by owner is if you don't have that mediator, that guy in the middle to buffer the language between the two parties, both parties end up getting a little too heated, and then no one wants to speak to anyone else, and then it just goes downhill from there.
Mm-hmm. And that's where all those horror stories come from, I think, is those kind of transactions where they're not really, there's no mediator that helps the buyer and seller, or even checks on the pools to see if they're actually sellable or in good condition.
Well, that, and also when you get a party that's easily insulted and takes everything personally, and if he had one pool that was green, he takes a personal affront to it, and then nothing you can do from that point forward is going to make any difference for him. It's nice to have somebody in the middle that can calm him down and explain, hey, you know what? Sometimes pools just turn green, and you know what? You just need to take care of them. And if it turned green on him, or if it turned green before he purchased the pool, then the seller should be responsible for getting that pool to where it should be before he takes it over.
Okay, so let me I'll put myself in the spot of someone who wants to purchase a pool route. Let's say I'm ready. I want to get into this business. So why don't you walk me through what happens when I call National Pool Route Sales, and how do I, where do I start?
Well, basically, when I talk to somebody, I want to know what they're trying to accomplish. I want to know about them. I want to know about the people, because I've had clients that I wouldn't sell a route to. I've had clients who called me and just wanted to keep their job and have a couple employees and not even be involved in the business, let the employees run it, and that's a prescription for a nightmare. So I really want to know about the individual, what their dreams are, what their aspirations are, what they're trying to achieve. And then that helps me direct them in the right way and to the route that is better fitted for them and what they're trying to accomplish. Most of the time, people, when they call, they really don't, they know they want to get into their own business and they know about what size, but unless you really talk to them, unless you get to know them, unless you're really concerned for them, and you want to make sure that everything goes smoothly for them and that they have a future, because a lot of guys won't ever get another chance at this. So we want to make sure the first time that it's done correctly.
Okay, and so that goes to the next question. There's training and guarantees involved when they purchase a route from you?
Yes. When you purchase a route through our company, we have a program that the seller has to subscribe to before we'll take his route for sale. He has to train, he has to guarantee, and he has to sign a covenant not to go back and compete with the customer on these pools. So if they're willing to sign those three things, I mean, there's some other minor things, but really those are the three majors. It's training, guarantees on the transfer of the accounts, and a covenant not to compete to protect the new buyer from the seller coming back and taking the pools. And I might add, in all these years, in 40-some years of doing this, and about 10,000 companies I've sold, I really have never seen people compete on that level. In other words, they don't usually go back and try to pick up the pools. And even if they did, what are they going to tell the customer? You know, Mrs. Jones, I sold you, but, you know, I want you back. It doesn't work that way.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's an important thing to mention, because if you buy a pool route from just a for sale by pool guy, you don't have that kind of protection.
If you're not going to have that protection, and you're not going to have a guarantee, period, and you're not going to get training, it makes no sense to buy the pools. It really doesn't. You're just setting yourself up for disaster. The other thing I might add is that training from a for sale by owner isn't necessarily the training you receive from one of the people, one of the sellers through a broker. I think when you're looking at an individual who's just selling some pools, I don't know, maybe the guy was trained by a guy who was trained by a guy who was trained by a guy who was trained by a guy. And it's like that game phone booth, you know, you whisper in somebody's ear, and by the time he gets through 10 people, who knows what it is. Mm-hmm. It's the same with training. You may start out with a really good trainer, the next guy's not as good, the next guy's worse, the next guy's worse than that, and you may end up getting that bottom of the barrel trainer. And if you don't have anywhere to go but that guy, and I think of all the years I've been doing it, that's the biggest problem that I hear, is that, you know, that guy I bought the route from out of the newspaper didn't train me right. We actually have a form where we go through, and the individual that purchases a route has to sign off on that form every day that he's trained, that he was trained properly and successfully.
So let's say on the other end of the spectrum, you're talking about buying the route. Let's say you're a pool guy, you've been doing it for 15, 20 years, and you're getting ready to semi-retire or retire. I would suspect that this is probably the best way to sell your route.
It is. It really is. And most of the people come to us because they understand to purchase. So if they come to us to purchase, we need the inventory to sell. So if you really want to sell your route, you should come to us. And the people that come to us know that they're going to get better training, they're going to get backup, they're going to get support, they're going to be more successful, and they really are. I don't care whether you've been in the business, you know, one day or 30 years. There's absolutely something that I can teach you to make more money in your business.
So Charles, let's say that you want to purchase a route, but you don't have a lot of cash laying around. What about financing the route? What do you offer as far as financing?
Well, if you have decent credit, there are companies where you can get all the funds to make your purchase. There are several companies that you can use. We have access to those, and we're happy to provide the names. and the contacts. If you have funds, but you want to, say, do an SBA loan, we also pre-qualify a lot of our listings for SBA. So either way, we're able to accommodate your financing needs, providing you have good credit.
So let me touch on the consulting one more time, the branch of the business. So if you buy a route from you, you're going to be with them, helping them build up their business, help them with the marketing, all the aspects of the business itself. Because a lot of the guys may not come from a background where they can go out there and market themselves after purchasing the route.
Yes, but the consulting program teaches them to do that. One of the problems we have in that respect is that people get very complacent in this industry. I'll give you an example. I had a kid one time that came up to me after one of my seminars. He said, "Mr. Baird, great seminar, learned a lot." He said, "But I really don't need it. I don't need any help. I make a ton of money." And I said, "Well, if you don't mind me asking, how much money do you make?" He said, "No, I don't mind. I make a ton. I make $30,000 a year." Well, $30,000 a year is not a ton. Mm-hmm. And if you live in Southern California or you live in New York, $100,000 or $200,000 isn't a ton. So there's always a way to improve. But when people get to a point, let's say that you come from a position where you were making $50,000 a year, you buy a pool route, and now you're making $100,000 a year. What's your motivation to make more? In most cases, they don't have the motivation to make more. They're happy at that $100,000. And that's a problem for me because I'm not wired that way. I'm always trying to push to help them make more, and they don't always want to make more. So sometimes they have to say, "Hey, you know what? I'm happy right where I am." Excuse me. With our program, you don't have to have any background in marketing. You just have to have common sense, do what I tell you to do, and you can build a beautiful company. We have clients with 12,000 pools, 5,000 pools, 6,000 pools, 2,000. I mean, I have clients that are huge, and clients that came from nowhere. And all of a sudden now, they're just big, huge companies.
It's called National Pool Route Sales for a reason, because you have routes available all across the country.
Yes. Actually, we have routes all across the country. We've been asked to come to Canada, Australia. We're on the homepage of the biggest pool guy down in Australia. So we do consulting just about anywhere, but we sell routes primarily in the 50 states.
Okay. And so where can they go if they want to look at the routes for sale or get more information, or if someone's ready to do this, where can they go to get started?
Well, if you're looking to purchase a route, they should go to National Pool Route Sales. So it's poolroutesales.com, and the website will take them through all the process. And the process is really very simple. They talk to the agent sets up an appointment with the seller and the purchaser. They talk, they meet, records are reviewed. If they want to go forward, we do all the paperwork. We have our own escrow department. So we handle everything. And again, after about 10,000 of these companies, we're pretty good at it.
Okay, that sounds great, Charles. That was a really informative, lot of information there about purchasing a pool route. And I really want to thank you for your time.
Well, no problem. I appreciate it. And if you have any more questions, just give me a call. I'm happy to help.
Okay, sounds good.
Thank you, David.
Thank you. And I want to thank Charles again for taking time out of his busy schedule to do this podcast. And I hope you found it informative. So I hope this podcast gives you a better understanding of what purchasing a pool route entails. If you need more information, you can contact them at poolroutesales.com. You can also call them at 877-766-5757 and talk to them some more about the possibility of purchasing a pool route and start your business. And one of the reasons I brought Charles on this podcast is I wanted to present another option for you if you decide to start a pool business, and if you feel you're not capable of starting it from scratch, in other words, getting a truck, getting your equipment, marketing yourself, and getting accounts, and building your route slowly over time. If you wanted to buy an existing pool route, this would be an option for you. Again, there's a lot of details involved, so you can call them, get some more information about it. But I think this podcast will give you a good general overview of what purchasing a pool route from a pool broker entails and the kind of safety nets that they provide for you. And one of the things I really liked that Charles highlighted was how national pool route sales will actually work beside you after you purchase the route with their consulting, and they'll help you market yourself and grow your business to actually make the investment an even greater investment just by marketing yourself better, managing the business better, versus investing more money to buy more pools. And I really like his emphasis on the fact that working with what you have already to build it up is probably more efficient and more practical than purchasing more pools. And that's definitely not self-serving for a pool broker to say that with the right consultation and the right effort you can actually build on the accounts that you already have versus buying another pool route. So I really like that fact that he emphasizes kind of the aftercare of purchasing the route. So after the seller trains you, you're not just left hanging, kind of trying to wing everything and learn everything on the fly. Charles and his team is going to be there to help you with all the marketing and all the other aspects that go along with maintaining the route and making it profitable. I also like the emphasis on Charles saying that you have to be the right person to buy the pool route. He's not going to just sell you a route. If you call him, you have to actually be the kind of person that can manage the route. And he has 40 years of experience selling these routes, so he knows what he's looking for. He knows what he's talking about, definitely. So he's not going to sell a route to someone who he knows is not going to be able to handle it. And I really respect that and think that there's a lot of integrity for a broker to have that aspect and have that business sense that, you know, he wants long-term clients. He wants every deal to work out well for both parties. And he's not just in it for the money. You know, from talking to him, I know he's well established already, and you can tell the passion he has for this is not just to make money off the business. So from the conversation, I can tell he really cares about what he does. He's really passionate about his pool route sales, and he wants to make the best deal possible for everyone involved. So I thank you again for listening to this week's podcast, and I hope you have a great rest of your week, and God bless.
The Pool Guy Podcast Show.